All right, guys, back with another episode of Heidi's Lane. I'm doing this a little bit different. I feel like I say that every time. I do say that every time. It is different. Every time it's different. This time it's different in two ways this time. Number one, I have headphones on so I can really hear me. And it's it's new. Secondly, we're bringing a camera into the car. My hope is that whoever's editing this can make some amazing reels still using B-roll footage, because we are talking about Marley today. It's really a life update. My daughter just left, which is just crazy. My second child just left. Like, I've bird launched ×2 now. And like, parts of me feel younger than ever. I feel like my soul is like reverting back to childhood, which could be this relationship that I'm in. It's really fun. And he makes me feel like a kid. But also there parts of me feel so old and wise. And then I look at my body, and there are shifts happening, and I look at my face and I'm like, no, I'm definitely aging. And then I see my kids. I'm like, I have an almost 21-year-old. I have an almost 21-year-old and an almost 19-year-old. I guess I could say I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. But yeah, I've reached this age where I'm officially launching these birds into the world. I'm like, I've talked about this before. A year ago, I talked about it with Matix. It's like, there's only so much you can do while they're in your home. And then every kid's so different. So my experience with Matix was one way. And my experience with Marley was a completely different way. With Matix, I was like, oh shit, is this kid going to be okay in the real world? Like, is he going to be able to do this on his own? I don't know, and he's fine. He's great. He's doing it. But I had this moment when Matix left where I was like, there's only so much. There's only so much that I can teach these kids inside of my home. And then I just have to stop freaking teaching. At some point, in order to raise and have adult kids who want relationships with you, I have realized you have to shut your freaking mouth. Like, I have to shut my freaking mouth. And I just have to be there for them. I have to let the world teach them lessons unless they ask. But like, when are they going to ask me to teach them a lesson? They're not. And I realize that the more I try to teach lessons to them unsolicited, like if they don't ask for the lesson and I try and teach it, distance grows between me and my kids. So there's a really great person I follow on Instagram, Dr. Julie Hanks. I'm going to do a whole separate episode on raising adult kids because it's a thing. We're also going to talk about Marley's college and Matix's, all my kids' college savings account, which when I posted on Instagram was a hot topic. You guys want to know about Marley's ILP program. I'm going to do a whole separate podcast about that stuff. But what I was saying about Dr. Julie Hanks is she does a lot of educating on how to raise adult children. And I've been learning so much. I'm like, man, this is why Marley and I are butting heads. I think Marley, so with Matix, it was like, I was worried he wasn't going to be ready for the real world. With Marley, she is, I don't think I've ever met a readier child. She's not a child. She's a grown ass woman. I'm going to get emotional. I feel like different than with Matix. I'm going to finish that thought. I swear. But the emotion right now, I feel like I cried on and off for months, weeks, like a year leading up to Matix leaving. And then when he left, I had a full-on breakdown in the lounge in Mexico. I flew him to Mexico, which none of the other missionary moms did. So I think Matix was a little embarrassed. And then I didn't cry until he was away and I was on my way back to my flight. I sat in the lounge, had a full meltdown cry. And then it actually got easier. You know, I had some times, but like I didn't sob for days and days and days like I've heard other moms do. And I judged myself because of it. I was like, what's wrong with me that I'm not sobbing? I think I got all my emotion out earlier on with Marley. Gosh. There weren't a ton of tears leading up to. Because she was so effing ready that she wanted to tell me what to do all the time. I mean, now I can laugh, and we would laugh when she was here, but Mars has lived with me full time for quite a while now. And which means, you know, I have Cash and Ruby half the time. Chris takes them the other half the time. And then I have Marley full time. Had, right? I don't want to say had, because she's a grown-ass woman. She can choose what she wants to do. But Marley has lived with me for many months now, 100% of the time. So I've had a roommate. Even like being, I've had conversations with people online where I say I'm a single momming. And I've had people be like, by the way, this podcast is going to go where this podcast goes. Okay. The intention, we'll get to Mars, we'll get to all of it, but let's just talk about all of it. I'll mention something online about single momming, and inevitably, I get someone on the internet who's like, you're not a single mom. You have dads who do and pay and blah, 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 blah. Actually, it is blah, 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 because I think it's interesting how people can judge a situation that they have no freaking clue what it's really like. Absolutely 100%. Chris, he's incredible. He splits the load with me 50-50 on everything. Like, I can't even, like, if I could talk that man into coming on a podcast with me, I'd even do it on, just to talk about co-parenting. You guys don't even know how incredible, and we have our differences. You don't see it. We have our differences. A lot of it is rooted in, pain caused by our marriage, mostly me. But we have our differences for sure. I mean, we both caused each other pain. But he's so damn good as a co-parent. He's so good to me, like so good. We are 50-50 on everything. Matix and Marley is a slightly different situation. And from the time those kids were babies, not babies, so from the time, for sure, divorce. And then when Chris came into their life, it's either been me 100% supporting those kids financially, just because of the way that the cookie crumbles, or Chris helping. So when Chris and I were married, Chris took on those two kids like they were his own. And so I say all of this to say, and I do think that, I don't want to go too far into it, but I have had some pretty great opportunities. I also work my freaking ass off. Let's be honest. I do. And, so it's single. In a lot of ways, I do feel like a single parent. I have all four kids half the time. And then the other half the time, well, not anymore because Matix is gone, but the other half the time it's been, I've had adult children living with me that I still support in every way. College, mission, all the things coming up are things that it's pressure on my shoulders. So I feel like when the kids are with me, I feel like I have to be mom, full nurturer, full lover, fully present. Like I don't have a job, like I don't need to make money. I have to just be there. I not get any help with the kids. I've talked about this on social media. And then the other half the time when I don't have kids is like, that's my time to grind and to go and to like, I am no longer mom and I am dad. Like I am the breadwinner. I am the sole provider. I'm the one who has to make sure that my kids have money for college, to make sure that when they get married, we have money for what I don't know, to make sure if something happens to me, they have money for, I don't even know what I need to plan for, but what I know is it is a lot of pressure and I love it. I wouldn't change it. Maybe I'd change it. Maybe I'd have a partner in life always with me that kind of took care of all the things, but I don't yet. And I love it. I love doing what I do. I say all of this. This is a big, long-winded way of saying that it's been a huge shift for me. The half of the time, half the time I'm mom for these kids who are all here, then the half of the time that I used to be able to go in and grind and be dad. And I don't mean to be sexist. It's not like a dad isn't there for their kids, but to be the provider. Like I have the other half the time where kids are not in the house where I'm the provider. Suddenly, a handful of months ago, Mars moved in with me full time. So I have a roommate there and she's not just an adult kid that totally takes care of herself. She's still a child and she needs love and she needs support and she needs guidance on her next steps. She needs someone to kick her in the butt and not physically, but someone to give her a nice little figurative kick in the butt that she needs to get a job. And it's such a fine balance between giving enough and not giving too much and teaching the lessons. And do I even have time to teach this lesson? Should I just pay for this thing? And just, I have to get it. It's been a lot. And with it, Mars, as a child she was so sweet and so kind her entire life. As a child, Mars was very sweet. She still is very sweet. But as a child, her sweetness was combined with obedience, maybe because of, the background and how we raised her and how I was raised to be obedient. And I think sometimes obedience can mask who someone really is. And obedience in like a female, for me, caused me to be a people pleaser, which then led me down a lot of paths that were not healthy for me and forced me to do a lot of unraveling. Required I do a lot of unraveling to figure out who I was, to find peace and happiness. And so, I raised my kids with the same obedience that was instilled into me. And Mars was very obedient. And I thought that's just who she was. Kind of like still at that time, I thought that's who I was. And I'm like, hell no, that's not who I am. I am someone who needs to be able to say no. I'm someone who needs to be able to stand up for myself. I'm someone who has an opinion. And I need to figure out what my opinion is so I'm not trampled all over. Like I am in charge of my life. And that does not mix well with obedience. And so I started raising my kids a little bit differently. I still want them to listen and be respectful. But I don't know that I necessarily want them to be as obedient as I was, because I don't want them to struggle in the ways that I now can see that I struggled. I mean, I feel like I struggled so much. So Mars, as an obedient child, it was a little bit shocking as she started growing into a young woman, and maybe she was given a little more freedom. I kind of realized how I wanted to raise my kids. And that girl has an opinion and it's awesome. And she has an opinion. She knows how she feels. She's going to tell you how she feels. She does not say yes because she doesn't want, she doesn't say yes when she doesn't want to say yes. And she says no when she wants to say no. And she is her own person, which is freaking awesome. And also, oh my hell, to raise that adult child, to raise that child that will hold her own in the world is so challenging. Oh, but I wouldn't change it because I know Mars is safe. I mentioned, I was a little bit worried with Matix because he was raised differently, right? Will Matix be ready for the world? Because I protected him, and in a lot of ways, he was protected and coddled and loved. And Marley is freaking ready. she is so ready for this world. And I mean, like, even seeing her get ready, she actually, a lot of people were saying, where did she end up going? We dropped her off last night at the airport. We had 20 rounds of hugs. It was really sweet. She was so stressed and she was so worried leading up to. She felt like she wasn't ready. And that was the thing she kept saying for the last few weeks. I'm so stressed. I don't know if I'm ready. And she would get emotional and just say, I don't want to leave my bed. This is a big deal. She was more emotional than I was then. And I knew when she actually left, all of the fears that she had, and it's almost like there were these, she had fears and maybe expectations that it was going to be so terrible. And I know what's going to happen is I knew she was going to leave and get to where she's going and be like, holy cow, this is amazing. And vice versa, I was at home, not emotional. And I knew as soon as she left, as soon as I had my space, I was going to miss her and be highly emotional, which is absolutely what happened. But yeah, there were rounds of hugs and all of the tears. And she's actually, as I record this, she's on her flight to Thailand right now. So, why Thailand? So when Mars, I'll tell more of this as I get, I'll do another podcast on this, but I did not I'm not letting my kids tap into their college savings account that I have set up for them. Chris and I had set up for them. And my mom has one too for them, but, I'm not letting my kids tap into that until they, have some real world experience. It's just the way that it is for me because I went to college and I blew through my money. And I don't want to say my money, but it was half my money, half my dad's. They would put money in. He would match when I would put savings in at the end of the year. My dad would match it and put it into my college savings account. And I went from being a straight A student at Mountain View High School in Mesa to a D and F college student at ASU, hugely in part because of my eating disorder that I had. It was like a full-on drug addiction, full food addiction. And so I now, granted, real world experience wasn't going to change that, but I did feel like I didn't really know, excuse my language, my ass from a hole in the ground when I left the house. I somehow figured it out, but I didn't know anything about anything. And I had no ability to appreciate the funds that I had and what it was going toward. And so with my kids, Marley is the first to go to college. I actually, she had these ideas of where she wanted to go. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go to Hawaii and do this and do this and do this. And I got to the point last year where I said, okay, here's the number. Here's what's in your college savings account. You can do what you want with it. But I need a plan that shows me that you can get through all 4 years or whatever your plan is on this amount right here. And if you can't get through on this amount, you're going to do student loans on your own. And so I gave her the number and she went to work. She went to work and she found the different colleges that she was previously wanting to go to were, $15,000 a semester versus a college that she didn't really want to go to was, $6,000 a semester. So Mars did the math and figured out how to make 4 years work. And so that was requirement number one, was she needed to do the math, figure it out. Requirement number two is her sit down and budget with me so she understands how much she's going to have to make on her own, because I'm paying for college. I am not paying for, and we'll talk about this all in another podcast, but I'm not paying for housing. I'm not. Because I didn't get housing paid for. And it was one of the best things for me to have to figure it out. I didn't get housing paid for. I didn't get a card paid for a very long time. I got a car to drive after a while, but it was really great for me. And so I budgeted with her and she figured out how much she'd have to make in a part-time job if she went to school a little more than part-time, still considered full. And then the third requirement, the most important one, was it's like there's this savings account here for you. But in order to access the savings account, there's a key. And the key is you either go on a humanitarian trip or you go on a mission. So a church mission like Matix went on. She could either do that, which she was thinking about, or a multi-month humanitarian trip. Why? Because I wish, and this is all, I think it's like someone's going to listen and be like, you're just projecting on your kids. I am. I think that's what we do as adults. I think we learn from where we messed up and we try to do better. We try to provide the experience, the opportunity, the foundation, the playing field for our kids to do better than we did. And so I saw the areas that I have regret in as an 18, 19-year-old that I wish I would have done different. Now, granted, if I had done it different, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I need to keep that in mind. Whatever path she goes is just going to be perfect, right? But I wished I had some real world insight and experience. And all three of my brothers went on Mormon missions. So all three of them went out of the country for 2 years and learned another language and experienced culture and got their asses handed to them in so many ways when they had to learn how to proselyte and teach and have a companion. I learned none of that. Like I went straight into a marriage at, I don't even know, I was young, straight into a marriage, straight into being a mom, still having an eating disorder into my marriage. Like I learned my lessons by way of just living life and doing most of it, as many would call wrong. It's how I learned. Some people go on a mission. Some people go in the army. Some people go to college. I just lived life, in a way that was really difficult. And, yeah. So I want Mars to experience, I want her to help her avoid, a lot of the pain that I felt. I want to help her feel more accomplished, maybe than I was. I want to help her feel more confident as she steps into whatever this next phase is than I was. I want her to feel more in control and in charge as she explores what a relationship might look like that could result in marriage. There's a lot of things I want for my kids that I didn't have or didn't do. So Mars ended up choosing Thailand, or she didn't choose Thailand. She chose a humanitarian trip. And then she got lucky, and Thailand is where she's assigned. I think she got, to kind of put in her top 3 preferences, and she got the one that she really wanted. And so she left last night. She's currently on, I think she just landed in Taipei, Taiwan. And she's going to, I don't even know. I think she goes to Bangkok next. Did I say that right? I don't even know. See, I'm not a world traveler. I don't even know. But I'm really excited for her. And she'll come home. So she gets home right before Christmas. She'll be here for about a month, maybe less. And then I'm not going to share what her future plans are yet. She does have some tentative future plans that are really, really awesome. I mean, if it's what she ends up doing. And it's been really cool just to see her. In a lot of ways, she is similar to how I was. Like I did what I wanted to do when I hit this age, regardless of what anyone had to say about it. Like my parents were like, if you want a car paid for and you want life paid for, you're going to live at home and go to college. And I was like, hell no, I'm not living at home. I didn't say hell no. I don't think I ever cussed. I just was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to move out. So I ended up moving out. And so I had to figure it all out on my own. I had to figure out car. I had to figure out rent. I had to figure it all out because like Mars, little hard-headed, like Mars, little stubborn, like Mars, driven. And so I see these attributes in her, and I see how overwhelmed and stressed she is because she doesn't have a plan for 2 years down the road. And I'm like, gosh, I keep telling her, you are doing so well. You are like killing it in life. And Anyway, so yeah. So here I am at home. Last night was the first night in I don't know how long where my house was absolutely silent on a week when I don't have Cash and Ruby. I have Marley flying to Thailand. I have Matix, who is 1 year down, 1 year down, 1 year to go in New Jersey. Little update on him. He's doing great. I don't want you guys, I feel bad. I'm like saying, oh, they're doing great. They're doing all these things. Guys, there's so much stress that comes with this too. Like, yes, Matix is doing really great. And also his struggles that he shared with me are his, right? So I don't want you guys to think that it's like, oh, my kids are perfect. No, we're all human. We're all human. I will share this. He's doing really well. And I say really well because we are clear on what his goals are. Like he's so cute. He's so awesome. Like, I don't tell him what to do ever. I just hear him and I listen to him. And he did have, I think it's pretty typical for Mormon missionaries, like 6 to 8 months out to be like, this is really freaking hard. This is harder than I thought. And Matix went through it. He had that. It was probably spring breakish. Yeah, because I was in California and I remember having a conversation with him where I was super emotional when I got off the phone because I could feel the pain that he didn't want to share. I could just feel it. I could feel him holding back tears, and Matix he doesn't like to let emotion come out ever. Yeah, I could feel all of it, and I could feel his inability to share what he was feeling with me. And that was the hardest part. And so the next few P days after that, it was just all hands on deck for me. Like I was there for him to listen, try and get things out of him, figure out if he needed to talk to the mission president about, how he was feeling. And then it was like a month of him sharing that stuff with me. It was like, I think they had a transfer which is where like the companion that you have no longer is your companion. You get a new one, you go to a new area, and something about, it's like relationships. It's like I can be with someone amazing, but if my chemistry with that person isn't on, or our life chemistry, or they could be a block for me and I could be a block for them. And it could just make me feel like my life sucks, right? And it's just so hard and so heavy and it doesn't make sense because that person's great. And then I could be with someone who might not check all the boxes to another person, but to me is just my perfect match and my perfect fit. And I am completely activated and lit up. And I realize on Mormon missions, it's that way. I would guess, at least with Matix, it seems like when he has a companion who is a good fit for him, he's so activated. He's lit up. He's on fire. He's like, they're baptizing people and proselyting, and he's in his zone, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna cut out distraction. I'm gonna go. It's really cool. And then also likewise, when he's with a companion who might be an incredible kid, really great kid, but for some reason or another, their puzzle pieces don't really match up very well. And Matix would never say a terrible thing about anyone. He thinks everyone's amazing. But I think when there's not a fit in maybe like if their strengths are the same and their weaknesses are the same, right? Like in relationships, if I'm with someone who has the same weakness as me and we have the same strengths, we might butt heads and also fall into bad habits. Same with Matix. And so I that's what I feel for him. And what's great is he's getting this experience now. He'll forever have it. He'll forever know how to be with certain personalities. He'll forever know what fits well with him and what doesn't. He'll forever know who and what types of people and energy activate him and which ones don't. So that's been really cool. He's actually in a really great place right now. He's in the Morristown, New Jersey mission, Spanish speaking. And he had a really hard time, like in March, April, so 8 or 9 months in, he was really struggling with the language. And it's not that he was struggling with it. He was struggling because he wasn't as far along as he wanted to be. And it's interesting. I think just recently, so just at about the year mark, when I talk, he's like, I realize it doesn't seem like I know the language very well. I think I'm my hardest critic, but when I actually hear myself talk, or I hear a recording, or I think back to what it was like when I was in the MTC trying for the first time to write my testimony in Spanish, I realize I've come a lot further than I thought. And that's kind of like any journey, any self-growth journey, any weight loss journey. It's like we tend to judge ourselves based on what we see in the mirror or what is at that moment, comparing ourselves to maybe our companion, our spouse, our friend, the person online. And so our progress, which might be great, seems so minimal when we're seeing people who are further ahead than we are. But what we don't see, but is there always, are the people who are not yet as far along as we are, who are looking at us saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to where they are. And I think Matix had that recognition, which it makes me so happy. So he's doing really, really well. Okay. I feel like I'm going to go back to Mars. I can't believe I didn't talk about this. We had a really awesome party with her. So Matix is doing great. Let's tie a bow on that. One kid out. I'm 1 year. It's here from this time forward. I have about 1 year until I have adult kids living with me again. Marley will come live with me for another about 3 weeks to a month before she embarks on her journey. But I have 1 full year, which I don't even know. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm actually diving pretty heavy into some awesome passion projects. Like my fire is back. My fire is back. It's really cool. Really, really cool. Okay. But Marley, we had this really awesome party for Mars, and I had a lot of people asking about the party and why I did the party for her, what made me want to do it. So truly, the idea came from this new man that I'm dating. And I don't want to say new because he's not that new. He's just new to you guys. He has really, the week he had come into town to visit me for the first time. Like we went on a date and hung out for a bit. But that was the first week Marley moved back in with me full time. So as he's at my house, we are having dinner. Marley comes in the door and she's like, I'm moving home. I'm like, oh, okay, please meet so-and-so. So that was interesting because usually I don't introduce my kids very early to a new man, but Mars has been around from the beginning. And I should say, I'll say it this way. They created, he's wonderful. He's so wonderful. And the connection that he and Marley have, the connection that Marley has with him is something that it's probably one of the things I'm the most grateful for ever. It's really, really great because, these years of dating, marrying and dating and marrying and dating and divorcing, it's been a lot for my kids, and they were very open about it. We talk about it quite a bit. They didn't meet Dave for like 6 months into the relationship. Another boyfriend, it was like 5 or 6 months in. And my kids have, all of my kids have pretty easily accepted the people I've dated. Mars has struggled, more than the others. I'm sure they've all struggled in ways that I'm probably not aware of. I fully recognize that and I own it. And it's one of the reasons why I try and stay very open with them. I try and allow them to be very open about it. But she's the one, as I've dated, who's never really given approval of anyone, ever, literally ever. And I know that's connected to a lot of different things that she's dealt with in her life. And somehow, from the beginning, Marley has been a full approver. And the way that he sees Marley and has patience for her has helped me see her different and have patience for her. All of our kids are different. And I think we tend to be the hardest on the ones who maybe go both ways, maybe are the most like us in some ways and the most unlike us in other ways. And Mars is the most like me in my adult Heidi, opinionated hard-headedness, and the most unlike me in a handful of other ways. And it's really been a challenge for me at times. Especially when I think one of the things as parents fall into is like, be like me or you're in trouble. And I'm not saying that that's right, but that's a toxic thing that us parents fall into. And I am guilty of that as well. The kids who are like me or act like me or clean up like me, they're praised, right? Like they're praised. And then the ones who aren't, I have a tendency to be on them like flies on shit. And it's not something I'm proud of. It's like, I can't help myself. And Mars and I are similar in a lot of ways, like hard-headedness and our opinions, and we're dissimilar in ways that are hard for roommates to coexist together. And so it's actually been really beautiful to have him in my life saying, she's just a girl. I know she looks like an adult, but she's just a girl. It has given me this perspective that these 18-year-olds are children. They are children in adult bodies. And it's helped me almost see her as probably the 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old that I wasn't always super present with because we were busy shooting a TV show, to be honest, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. But it's helped me to see that version of her and witness her innocence that maybe I missed because my life was so chaotic. And I, continued raising Mars in a way that just expected so much of her, Marley and Matix. I think we do that to the oldest. We expect so much of them and maybe never really let them live in their childhood. And I'm guilty of that with Mars. I don't think I really ever let her be a child. And so these past few months, a handful of months, 5, 6 months, whatever it's been, have been really great for that with me. And I needed these months with Marley before she left, and she needed these months with me. And without this guy, I think we would have killed each other. I'm not kidding. And it was beautiful for us. Beautiful. But anyway, so the party was actually his idea. He's like, Mars, let's celebrate her. Let's throw her a big party. And I'm like, I actually first said, she's not going to want that. She's not going to want it. Because every time I was like, let's do a party. Let's have a 13-year-old party, 14, whatever, every age. No. She did not want a party for graduation. She didn't want a party for anything. She literally never wants a party, tells me she never wants to be celebrated. Even on social media, you guys, I only post when she lets me, which is very rare. You'll notice. Marley doesn't want the spotlight to be on her. Even like having friends over at night, I'll be like, hey, let's throw a party after this game. No. Never really wanting the spotlight, right? And so I actually immediately said to this guy, I said, she's not going to want that. And he's like, Heidi, she says she doesn't want it, but she wants to be loved and to be celebrated more than anything. And I spent the next month, 3 weeks planning this party we did. And I decided to make it a surprise party because I knew if I told her that we were doing a party, she would say no. I knew it. Like she'd overthink what she's wearing, her hair, all of these things. And so I decided not to tell her about the party and just plan the thing. And what was interesting is as I was planning this surprise party for this girl who just is so accomplished and has achieved so much and works her butt off all the time, and I'm insanely hard on, have been historically. I expect so much from her. I was emotional. I couldn't even have a call with my friends who were helping me plan the party without crying, because I realized just how many attempts, how many things Marley's done in her life that have deserved to be celebrated, that maybe have not been as celebrated as she deserves, you know? And so it was really, it was emotional. It was healing for me to plan this party. I hope it was healing for her, but it was this, yeah, somehow I think, well, I'm going to say this. Well, no, I'll jump into this first. Somehow she did not know that we were planning a party for her. I don't know how she didn't know, because all of the signs were there, like literally everything. I had to, I was lying to her the day of, like nobody's business. I'm like, she's gonna know. Like I was like telling her to get out of the house. I had to film a podcast. She's asking me why I'm clearing furniture, because I was going to do a photo booth in one of the rooms. We had the party was this whole Thai theme with Thai parties and all of her favorite foods that she was sad she's going to miss, from In-N-Out burgers with French fries to, they were actually catered In-N-Out burgers. So they weren't true ones, but small mini burgers with French fries and In-N-Out sauce and Black Rock energy drinks. I got a ninja slushy thing. She loves Pazookies from BJ. So we had mini Pazookies with ice cream, and just tried to make it as Marley as possible. I wanted every detail. We had face tattoos of her that we had everyone put on. We had stationery for the people who were coming early to write her letters for when she gets homesick. We had photos of her everywhere and photos of her siblings, and that I kept up in my home. I love them so much. They're so cute. And so it was this whole thing. But I had to clear, she'll go spend way too much money on photo booths and In-N-Out and Black Rock and BJ's Pazookies, but she'll go spend all this money on photo booths. So I'm like, why don't I just actually have a photo booth come to us? So we had to clear one of our rooms, and she's like, why'd you clear the room? I'm like, it's a podcast. We're doing a podcast. Told her she had to leave the house. So she started to leave, and then she wanted to come back. She's like, oh wait, I'm just going to stay here for a while and you guys can do the podcast. I'm like, no, I had to get upset with her to leave my house and go hang out with her friend. And at one point they were driving back home to grab her car. And I was like, she called, she's like, I'm going to come grab my car so I can come home early if I want. And I'm like, no, I'm taking your car right now to go get the oil change. And she's like, wait, what? I mean, it was this whole thing. So I literally had to jump the car, go drive it to the place to go get the oil change, which actually it needed. And then when I got home, I'm like, how do I make sure she doesn't go through the garage? Because there's a photo booth in there. We need her to come through the main entrance because that's where the surprise is. So I had to tell her a lie about the garage being broken. It was just one thing after the next. I couldn't remember which lies I had told and which ones I had not. That's what happens with lies. I think many of us as kids learned to lie so we didn't get in trouble, but it's horrible when you have to lie because you don't remember what you said to who and how it's going to land. And Marley, there was a point, all of her friends, these days, everyone has everyone's location, right? Like, especially the kids. And she's out with her friend, and on her way back to the house, everyone's at my house now. Everyone has turned off their location for her. Like, they didn't want her to know where she was, which I had thought about, but I forgot. They figured it out. They all knew. So they all turn off her location. Marley, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, maybe they're all gathering to do something for me, poor Mars is like, they're mad at me. Wait, what happened? Why is everyone shutting off location? So she's firing off texts at everyone who's at my house, all of her friends. Trying to figure out why the hell they all turned off their location, why they're all hanging out without her. Like, she was full on, the term they use these days is crashing out. She was full on crashing out, full on. And her friend who was with her was like, because I had told her friend Ireland, I'm like, just talk about something emotional, maybe try to get into a deep conversation. Don't let her check location. And so Ireland kept going, Marley, it's okay. Put your phone down. Hold on, let's talk. And Marley's like, I just don't understand. Why is everyone turning off location? She was really sad by it. So anyway, she gets to the house. Apparently she sees all the cars outside. She pulled up. She's like, Ireland, wait, why are there cars here? Luckily, somehow our neighbor across the street had big happy birthday letters in their lawn for their 5-year-old, a huge birthday party they were doing. So Ireland was like, oh, it looks like there's a birthday party. So Marley had no clue. Walks up to the house, walks in the door, huge surprise. It was so cute. It actually, like, to see Mars feel like a princess when she's like the middle child, right? Like, and oftentimes middle children are overlooked and sometimes walked all over and underappreciated. And the little kids are usually the ones made to feel like princes and princesses. And the older one is, it's just to be in the middle. I'm a middle child. It's a little bit difficult, you know? Also, it makes us tougher and more resilient. But to see her celebrated and to just have everybody there for her, which has really never been the case, was really awesome. And, you know, I was actually thinking about today, I'm like, man, it's just so interesting how she spends so much time saying, don't have parties for me. You know, I had this realization that all these years where Marley said, I don't want to have a party. Don't have a party for me. Don't celebrate. I don't even like to be celebrated. I don't want to be posted. I don't want all these different things, right? That she would say, don't love me. Don't celebrate me. Don't bother doing this for me. Because she would always. I oddly believed her. I was like, oh, she just doesn't like to be celebrated. She doesn't want this. So I didn't sometimes. And yeah, I didn't realize until this new man came into my life who, you know, had said, no, she really does want to be. And it was cute because there was a day where she was like, Mom, are you going to post me? And I was like, I looked at him and I'm like, what? I said, what do you mean? She's like, are you going to post me before I leave? And I said, do you want me to? She's like, no, you don't have to. Don't post me. I don't want you to. And I said, okay. And she's like, I'll just send you pictures though, so you have it just in case. Which was really interesting because I realized that all of those years, Marley told me she didn't want to be celebrated and posted, which I need to be careful because she's a child and I don't want to post a child who doesn't want to be posted. Really deep down, that's all that she wanted, was to be seen and to be celebrated and to be pampered and told she's beautiful. It reminds me of when I was younger. And even into my adulthood years, I would always say, I don't want a big wedding. I don't want a big wedding. I don't want to be celebrated. I don't want a wedding ring. I'll just take a tattoo, right? I don't need a wedding ring. I'm not one of those girls. I don't want date night. I don't need date night. It was all these things I said I didn't want. I used to even brag and say, you know, everyone wants a fairy tale wedding. I don't. I realized though, later on in life, as it started happening, what I did is I attracted the relationships that didn't have the big weddings, right? Getting married at 6:43 in the morning in my workout clothes. I attracted the relationships that didn't want to buy a ring. I attracted the relationships that didn't do date night. I attracted the relationships that the men who also wanted what I said I wanted, which was that. No romance, no whatever. And what I really wanted all along was for someone to see through what I said I wanted and didn't want and to give me all the pampering, to give me a big wedding, to buy me a wedding ring. I've still never had a man buy me a wedding ring ever. Marriage is deep. Never. I've never had a man buy me a wedding ring. I've never had a man buy me gifts because I always said I didn't want them and I don't need them. But I hit a point in my life where I was like, man, I think I just wanted someone to call me on my shit and to be like, I don't care if you don't want a big wedding. I don't care if you don't want a wedding ring. I don't care if you don't want date nights. I'm going to give it to you because you deserve it. And I love you so much. I'm so in love with you. I wanted that, but I was so afraid that if I said I wanted something that I couldn't ultimately get, I'd look stupid. Yeah. And I recognize that I did that in a lot of ways in my life. I said, I didn't care. I didn't care if I, won this competition. I didn't care if I didn't ever care. What I was doing is setting myself up to not be disappointed when I didn't get it, or I didn't win it, or I didn't make it. I was so scared of failure that I would speak that the failure is what I wanted, which was a lie. And I attracted that over and over and over and over. It takes courage. It takes bravery to say, no, I do. I want a man to buy me a wedding ring. I just do. It takes courage to say, I want to build a successful business. It takes courage to say, I want to start a podcast. It takes courage to say, I'm going to get on a stage and I'm going to speak. It takes courage to say, I'm going to perform, whatever it is. There's so much courage and vulnerability in these big statements that we make, especially because it means once we declare them, we might fail and look stupid. And we might. But also, I recognize whatever it is we speak we want is what we're actually going to get. If we say we don't need anything special, guess what's going to find us? Nothing special. If we say we don't want a wonderful, excellent relationship, guess what's going to find us? Not a wonderful, excellent relationship, the opposite of. And so I had this thought and I realized that in my gentle parenting with Marley, because now she's an adult child, now she doesn't want to hear what I have to say, and I'm not going to tell her what I have to say unless she asks. But I'm thinking, how do I help teach her and weave into her soul that it's okay to say what you want? It's okay to say, I want to be celebrated. I want to be loved. I want to be put on a pedestal. I want a man, because ultimately we're going to attract whatever it is we say we do or we don't want. Anyway, I guess those are my closing thoughts. And then I'm also going to say more to come on this. I really appreciate you guys being here. For now, do you know we're coming up on 2 years on this podcast, 2 full years, 2 full years. Just thanks for joining me in this journey, and thanks for being here to live this life with me through the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. I love you guys very much. And yeah, I'm going to let you go. I think we're coming up on an hour now. All right. Love you.